Welcome to the podcast From Stress to Success Blueprint. I am your host, Lolita. Okay, so the episode 105, I believe, and we are talking about stress in relationships. Obviously, relationships on its own is very, very stressful experience, especially if you are dealing with different kind of people that sometimes you just cannot really choose them. Um, there are situations and about the relationship that I'm talking about could be friendships and could be those amazing people that we are get more involved emotionally and more intimately with. Could be coworkers, could be business partners, all those kind of people, but not the people just regular on the streets. Okay, you need to have some sort of impact into their life and they need to have an impact in yours. Okay, so specifically what I want to touch on today is about that stress can come in relationships from having different goals and values. And how it this, and you probably already thinking, well, duh, hello, of course, we all very different. And, all of the uh, articles that I read about relationships usually says you have to make sure that you have the same goals and the same values, and then the relationship is smooth sailing. Kind of like that. There's well, but what if you are dealing with other people that you really didn't choose to be with them, let's say as a coworker, and you still have to deal with them, but their values and their goals are very different than yours. And let's just talk about workplace environment. If somebody has something that they keep on doing at the same time during the workday, but it is not really of value to you, you may be thinking, why are they not here on the desk? Why are they somewhere else? Maybe they're doing very important thing. For them, it's very important, but to you, it's not. So you can have judgment, you can get stressed out because you're thinking, oh my gosh, are they going to be ready on the project that they will deliver on time? If this is in the relationships that you are involved, that has to do with your family and your life in general, oh, that could go really bad if you do not stand on the same goals and values. Um, and of course, if you are getting just into relationship, it's a great idea to talk about those things and know where you stand. But obviously, none of us probably just said, "Well, it's just your vows to live from, so now I'm going to just break up with you because you're not like thinking that the way I'm thinking, because you should be thinking the way I think, not like you." Obviously, that sounds a little bit narcissistic, isn't it? So, okay, so let's just get clear, right? Like we are where we are in the relationships in our life when we are with the people, and this is it. And you have that kind of stress for those different values and goals. And to be honest, we do change. So goals and values also will change with us. And for other person as well, they could be very different when you met them, and now they went through some this transformation, and now they value and very different things, and their goals are very different. Clarity, obviously, is achieved through communication. And I've been talking a lot about that already, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Have enough courage to say, this is not working. I really want to talk about this. Now, I want to touch on more stressful subject that could be really underneath that. That has to do with goals and values. It's because a lot of times when people grow up in the environment where they not being allowed to be themselves and express themselves and follow their own goals because they've been told what they need to do, because they're children, so they don't know, we're going to tell them what they need to do. And especially if that child grew up in such a family where they did not want to disappoint the authorities, it could be very difficult for them to know what their own values and goals are. So you could be in a relationship with someone who is very stressed about that has to do with goals and values, because when you ask them like, what is this important to you? Can we find anything in common? What's important to you? They could say, I don't know, because they come from that environment where they've been told not to have those goals and values and not even to look into themselves. So you need to have empathy of understanding that person maybe even not capable right at this moment to come up with some sort of plan and tell you what their goals are going to be in the 5 years or what do they really value, because they could be wrong what they're saying. I'll tell you, I was in this conference and there was this just exercise to talk about our values. And I realized a lot of values that I had really came from my upbringing and from my society, but they weren't really not my values. So imagine if I am in a situation that it has to do a lot with the values and goals, and I'm not even aligning to myself, naturally, I'm already stressing out about that. So if I have to align to somebody else's values and goals, it could be even worse. And it could be that conflict that you're trying to figure out, like somebody will want to maybe talk about it. If I'm not really an authentic me, that's going to be very difficult for us to solve the conflict because the conflict is not even there. The conflict is the thing that I don't even know who I truly am, what are my values and goals. So, as you can tell, it could be very, very complicated and could be very stressful. So if you are in some situation when you see that the other person struggling with values, with goals, or they just following your goals and your values just to not to be in a conflict. I already had another episode about the conflict, so go listen to that one. Um, you need to give them space and really have a communication saying, do you want to think about your goals and values? Obviously, if that person says, yeah, okay, fine, I'll just go and do yours, then you will not be listening to this episode, right? Because there are no stress in the relationship that has to do with values and goals. Usually stresses happens when there is a clash, there is a conflict. So yes, maybe that's a very hard trip up the mountain, but it's really worth really looking into it. If you have someone in the relationship that you notice that you have a lot of stress and conflict because it has to do with different values and goals, you need to clarify them. You need to create your own values and goals. You need to see where you can cave in and let the other person to cave in. Um, it's all about finding the compromise and see where you are, seeing, maybe you can ask help from a coach, therapist, or whoever. And there is so much information right now these days online that can help you to really deal with your authenticity. And then you can heal that part of yourself and you can be enough and courageous that you actually come out and show yourself and be open-minded and open in your voice, that you will be able and capable of actually expressing who you are and what is that you want. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you found this episode interesting, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and if you're looking for more help, you're welcome to check out my website, beamazingyou.com.